Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
I'm so glad to have you here today.
Oh, it is such a pleasure, Ayana. I was so looking forward to this. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Listen, thank you for accepting my invitation because everybody who
Absolutely.
watches the show knows I don't know what's happening from one week to the next. I'm flying by the seat of my pants all the time. I'm usually like contacting people a day or two ahead and being like, "You want to be on the show?"
Well, I've
And
enjoyed your
you said
content.
yes, and thank you. Thank you. You said yes, and I'm so grateful that you did. So I am
My
so glad that I
pleasure.
get to share you with my network
It's a
because you are a woman to know. You're a woman to know in the diversity and inclusion space. So um, before we dive in and talk about diversity and inclusion in the workplace and
Mhm.
really building and sustaining a diverse talent pool, I want to
Yes.
talk to everyone just really quickly about how we know each other.
Okay.
So, like a lot of people who I have on the show, you and I
Mhm.
met on LinkedIn. Um,
Yes.
everybody knows that LinkedIn is one of my most favorite platforms.
Hmm.
And you and I met because I was looking for people who were in the diversity and inclusion space who I could learn from and just be inspired by.
Hmm.
Um, and so I found you and we connected. And then I
Yes.
invited you to a group that I
Hmm.
lovingly call the Pride.
Yes.
Um,
I love that group.
and I call us the Pride because I feel like we are fierce lionesses and we come together,
Hmm.
share each other's content, but more than that, we learn from one another. And I
Yes.
really enjoy and appreciate that.
Yes, and I appreciate it too. And I just want to thank you for inviting me to join the Pride because
Thank you.
within the Pride, I've of course connected with some great people and, have learned a lot and even grown in my knowledge about this space. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for really accepting the invitation, honestly. So, today you and I are going to talk again about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. It is a passion of mine, such a passion of
Mhm.
mine that I actually turned it into a business, a business that is booming thanks to all of my clients. And so, I want to
Awesome.
share some of what I know and pair that
Mhm.
with your expertise in talent
Mhm.
acquisition. So, I want you to tell
Okay.
everybody, Keila, tell everybody what you do.
Okay, so I actually am a talent acquisition and recruitment consultant. My career started about 18 years ago. I had my own recruitment agency, and then companies started asking me to come in to put together sourcing strategies across their different business units. Also to do executive level recruiting. But really, what happened is my focus really started to hone in on the diversity and inclusion recruitment strategy. And so that is where I am now. That's what I'm doing.
Perfect. So, and I think it's important for us to talk about that, especially right now, because what we see is this shift taking place, like honestly,
Yes.
right before our eyes. And if you spend any
Hmm.
time on LinkedIn, I don't know how many of you do, but you
Hmm.
see this conversation starting to take place in
Oh,
large
yes.
and small organizations where they're saying, all right, we got a problem
Yes.
and we need to address it. And that problem is we are not very diverse. Maybe
Hmm.
we are not very inclusive because we're not diverse and we don't even
Yes.
know what equity means.
Yes.
So I think it's important for us to have this conversation. And I want you to explain some of the reasons why we need
Hmm.
to embrace building this talent pipeline that is both
Yes.
diverse and inclusive. And what are
Hmm.
some of the benefits in that?
Wow. I heard a while back that, when companies embrace a diversity and inclusion initiative within their, organization, they're not just affecting their organization. It is better for, the society, the community in which they live.
Yeah.
It's very, very important because case studies have shown that when your team is more diverse, it affects your bottom line. You connect
Yeah.
with your end user better, you connect with your customer better, and every company is thinking about that bottom line.
That's
But
right.
in order to really foster something that's really going to make an impact and really be effective, you have to look outside too of the organization and realize that your impact is going to, touch your community. And that's really important.
That's right. So the other thing that we know for sure, if anybody in the space is doing any real work and understanding some of the research behind it, it's decades of research
Yeah.
tell us that diverse and inclusive teams
Yes.
not only out earn, they outperform in every
Yes.
way. In
In
every
every
way,
way.
teams that
That's
are
right.
less diverse.
Yes.
And so what I run into when I'm talking to clients is that I think, especially at the top level, one of the reasons that they are apprehensive about both starting and then sustaining an initiative that really does look to foster diversity and inclusion and equity within their
Yeah.
organization is that they think they have to learn everything, and it panics them. Okay,
Yeah.
especially for older white men who are in these spaces. All of a sudden, that they ain't got time for it. They just don't.
Yes.
Now I have to learn something new, maybe from a society that I don't understand. And what I am always trying to help them to understand is that when you take the time to build a team and
Yes.
foster that team that is diverse and inclusive, you learn by proxy. You learn
Yes.
because you are just surrounding yourself with folks who are naturally unlike you, but you are
Yes.
learning from one another. And I think one of the
Exactly.
things that's very hard for CEO minded people about that
Mhm.
is they're used to being the teacher. And so
Yes.
they find it very hard to be taught anything.
Right. And we all know that life is about learning, right?
Yeah, come
So,
on.
yes, and that's the best environment, so when you are open to learn and you're bringing in these people that, have these diverse perspectives, they knowledge base, it is going to be a synergy that's created that really allows anyone, no matter where they're from, to benefit from
That's
whatever their
right.
background is. So that openness, like you said, to learn, it really makes a difference. It's important.
It does. So I want you to start talking about now some of the ways in which
Mm-hmm.
these folks in like middle management and higher who are
Yes.
responsible for the growth of a team, what can
Yes.
they do to start building out that diverse pool of talent? What are some things that they can do?
Wow. You hit on the first thing I would say, and that is to know the why. Why
Yeah,
do we need this diverse team? We understand it's going to make what we do better,
yeah,
because when you understand the why, then you will be open to what you now need to do, the how and the what, so then that is going to open the conversation. You might have people that have that perspective already within the organization, or you might
yeah.
need to bring in those that can give you, a more, I would say, a broader scope. A lot of times I say, let's not just look out of glasses. You need to be looking out through binoculars. You need to be
That's right.
seeing not just what's in front of you, but what's going to come. Because we talk about building, that diversity pipeline, of great talent, then you need to know that that's going to have to be a continual process. So
Yes.
you need to understand why it's going to benefit the company, how you're going to do it. Throw off the apprehension. We
Yeah.
all understand sometimes change. We're not too comfortable with change, but it will
Yeah.
bring change, and that's what we have to be open to. And
Yeah.
you know, I know we've spoken before about this, and you've asked me about, what are some of the things that managers are doing wrong. And
Yeah.
I think some of the preconceived ideas of, like, having the conversation one time, about sacrificing quality in order to have diversity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the case. Why, Ayana? We spoke about. I mean, think about just African American women alone are, the most educated group of people, in the world. You have the skill, the talent, the knowledge. You just have to get out there and find it.
Yeah, and I think you have to be very intentional. And so when
Mhm,
you talk about the why, I'll tell you one of
mhm.
the things that I am always having conversations about with my clients and potential clients is
Okay.
what sometimes happens, what oftentimes happens is when
Mhm,
people have these diversity and inclusion initiatives, the reason that they
mhm.
fail is
Okay.
because they are task oriented. And so people
Mhm.
have this checklist of things that they know they need to do. We need
Yes.
to have more of this people. We need to have more of that people. And they have a checklist. But what we
Mhm.
don't teach our teams to do is to explore why it is important for them. So if it
Yes.
is not
Yes.
important to the top of the line, it ain't going to trickle down
Yes.
and be important to
That's
the rest
right.
of the
That's
line. And
right.
we have to understand and address that. So when we
Yeah.
talk about the why, we really do need to get clear about the why. And if the why, and I want folks to hear me very clearly. I'm gonna look all up and through this camera
Yeah.
real quick. I want you to hear me
Exactly.
because I want you to hear me and
Mhm.
understand me. If your why, listen to me,
Mm.
C-suite folks, I'm talking to you. Okay, business
Wow.
owners, I'm talking to you. HR folks who are responsible for talent, I'm talking to you. If your
Mhm.
why is based on fear, I
Yes.
have to have XYZ type of people because this internet is dragging us. If we don't, it won't work for you. It won't work for
Exactly.
you because
Yes.
diversity is not the same as inclusion. And
Mm.
so you are not just looking for a diverse pool of people to come and join your
Yes.
organization. You should be looking for a
Yes.
diverse pool of talent who will help you build and sustain and grow your business. And how are you going to
That's right.
retain them? That's what it's
That's
about.
right.
Because
Yes.
anybody can build a diverse pool of talent. Can you keep them? That's what I want to know.
That's
Can you keep?
right. And how are they going to
So
keep them? You know,
yes,
they're going to
yeah,
keep them by allowing them. It's true inclusion. You're really including them. Their careers are able to grow. You see them going from, you know, middle management to upper management, you know, to executive leadership, you know, and that's one of the things I even tell even candidates that I come in contact with. I'm going to say, you know, take a look at the company, see
yeah,
what the leadership looks like.
yeah,
You know, we talk about how it's important for leadership to be transparent, the managers to be transparent, you know, with the candidates. When you're interviewing them, managers, tell them, you know, we're not where we would like to be, but
hmm,
we want to get there. And so we're looking for amazing, you know, talent such as yourself, diverse talent that we can bring in, you know,
yeah,
to start contributing to this process. And we need you here. And that is very important. I know for me, when I've been presented, you know, with that type of feeling, it's made the difference. And
yeah.
you know, you feel a part of it, like you have something to contribute. And I think that's where the great connection to retain that talent lies.
Definitely. So the other
Mhm.
reason I think it's important to have these kinds of discussions is because, again, I think we spend so much time on diversity. Folks don't understand that inclusive piece, and they definitely don't
Mhm.
understand equity. But the
Yes.
thing is your diverse talent is not enough, again, if you can't keep them. And one of the ways that you keep them is through building trust.
Yes.
So I know that a seat at the table is important.
Mhm.
However, I always use the dinner party as my analogy when I'm trying to explain to people what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. I
Yes.
call it the dinner party, and I tell people diversity is that dinner invite, okay?
Mhm.
It's the
Mhm.
invite.
Yes.
Inclusion is your place setting. Here is your
Mhm.
seat at the table.
Mhm.
Equity is all access to the meal. So whatever I have, you can
Yes.
have. So when there's equity, when there's inclusion, now I have the freedom to speak to you the truth, and I don't
Yes.
worry about what might happen because I know that you're trusting me to tell you the truth about something, and you're going to take what I say to heart. And I know
Yes.
that there are a lot of people who are probably watching now or who will be watching
Mhm.
who remember maybe being in a place that was not very diverse.
Yes.
But maybe there was inclusion there and
Yes.
they could speak freely about some things that were going on that could
Mhm.
positively or negatively impact the organization. When you don't have inclusion, You might have diversity, and guess what people will do? They will sit at that table and not open their mouths. And I'm telling you from
Yes.
experience, I ain't say a word.
Yes.
It wasn't
Oh,
safe because
I
it wasn't safe.
understand.
So we have to be able to build teams that are not just diverse, but that are inclusive, and that really we are encouraging people to be a part of the conversation and be a part of the culture shift that is taking place within the organization. So I think that's really important. And we're going to get into the how now of building that. But before we do that, I just want to take a second and just remind everybody who I'm talking to today.
Okay.
The lovely and talented
Thank
Miss
you,
Keila Minnis-Stevens,
Oh.
certified. You finish it up. Tell them about that alphabet soup.
Okay, a certified
The
diversity
CDP.
professional. Yes, and
Yeah.
and
So I want to thank those of you who are on right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. No, I would just sometimes you see different acronyms, you don't know exactly what they're standing for, but the CDP is Certified Diversity Professional, and it was just a great experience. Just even getting that certification, that process was awesome.
So I want to talk about that really quickly before we go into the how of building this pipeline. And first, I want to say good morning, good afternoon to Quentin and Deirdre. I see on here all of you, Bruce from my hometown. Hey, thank you guys for being here. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I'll make sure that I put them up. And thank you for giving me your time today. I appreciate it. So I want to talk really quickly about certification because I'm gonna be really honest about something here. Okay. So when I launched my business in 2018, diversity and inclusion and teaching workshops and really helping people to understand why it was important for the workplace, these conversations, right, was always a part of my business. But I felt wildly insecure because I did not have a certification, even though I had graduated from U of M, even though I was already working in communications, even though I had started my work quietly in diversity, equity, and inclusion back in 2014. I started being very interested, and it was because of the space I was in, right? I started doing some work. I felt very insecure because I didn't have the certification. And I'll tell you that I had started several programs to get the certification, and I was unimpressed. I felt like the content was for the money people wanted me to spend for a certification. I was very unimpressed, but I was also very self-conscious about not having it until I had a conversation with a woman, just a confidential conversation with her. And I was explaining to her why I felt insecure in this. And she said to me, Ayana, why would you spend your money on a certification for something that you are not only teaching, but you are teaching better than some of the experts? And it changed everything for me. It changed everything. So I'm saying that because not to take away from your certification at all, because you deserved it, you earned it, and you are good at what you do. You are excellent at what you do. But what I want to tell folks who don't have the certification, who are thinking about building a business, building a practice, building a firm, who help organizations expand and understand diversity, equity, and inclusion within their workplace. You don't have to go out and go into debt to make somebody else feel good about something you doggone well know because you've experienced it. So I want to say that because I think it's important for people to know that.
I agree.
So, the other thing I want to say before we go on to the how of building this pipeline is that I know people would also say to me, why on earth would you bring another woman on who does what you do, who is essentially your competitor? And what I say to those people is that I do not have a lack mindset at all. I don't. So I don't see you as a competitor. I see you as a partner, as a potential partner, as a collaborator with me in this. I lack no good thing. So I think that we can learn from one another without having to hoard our information because somebody might steal my clients. I ain't worried. I learned from you. I appreciate that.
And I just want to make that clear. Design, I believe that. Thank you. And I remember someone saying a long time ago, there is room at the table.
Yeah.
and we all, and it is. And so, yes,
Yeah.
and you're
And if
proving
I
that.
ever get to a table
Yes.
where there is only room for one, first
Hmm.
of all, I'm either gonna elbow somebody out the way so that I can make room, or guess what I'm
Mhm.
gonna do? I'm gonna
Wow.
gather my place setting, I'm gonna push
Wow.
my chair in, and that's a
Mm.
table that I don't want to be at. Legit.
Okay.
Because that
That
is not diversity. So
right.
looking around your boardroom and saying, we need one of this, we need one of
Yes.
that. That's
Yes.
not diversity. It's definitely not inclusion, okay?
No.
Not from a place of real understanding.
Yes.
So for those of you
And
who
that's
are in the industry who are really trying to have these conversations, I just think that's important for them to know too.
it is. It is. You know, we're talking about, companies utilizing or having the diversity and inclusion and equity initiatives. And like you said, they become task oriented. It becomes a process when
That's
actually
right.
it has to be a culture. It has to
Yeah.
reach out, outside of the business. I heard someone speaking one time and they said, why does diversity and inclusion, why does it always have to be a financial kickback,
Yeah.
at the end? This should be something that is important because, first of all, it is the basis of who we are. If you think about the fact that for years, people, those in underrepresented communities, in every sector of our society, you know, wanted to be at the table, not to be treated better, but to be treated equal. So what you
Yeah.
want to do, what you're hopefully wanting to do, is to create an environment where everyone can prosper, everyone can progress, in their positions, in
Yeah.
their career. And so
And let
I know that's where my passion comes from. And that's what you have, Ayana, and that's what makes a difference. So when you mentioned the certification, I 100% agree with you, and was blessed to have it offered, through an organization, because like you, I probably would have said, hey, this is a passion. If it's purposed in you, I'm not going to allow, not having a certification to keep me from being
yeah,
involved.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's how I felt about it. So
Yes.
I want to get us into the how now of building that, but
Okay.
I see that I've got a comment here. It's long, but I'm gonna try to put it
Okay.
up. Let's see if it'll let me move my microphone so I can see it. So
Okay.
Deirdre said, this discussion is critical in the area of long-term care, where 90% of the caregivers are minorities, or I like to say marginalized groups, and the
Mm.
management is not. Amen. Hallelujah. I'm already
Yes.
on it, girl. Know that.
Mhm.
Have been a leader in the assisted living world. Having been a leader in the assisted living world, it is difficult to speak up. Getting ready to launch my business as a nurse consultant in the assisted living world. I'm struggling with navigating that environment again. Any recommendations? Let me tell you something, Deirdre. So first of all,
Wow.
not everybody knows this. Some people know this about me, but not everybody knows this about me. My business was born out of my frustration
Mm.
from this exact thing that she's talking about. The senior living industry is an industry that I love deeply, that
Mhm.
I really even had a great experience when I was where I was at. However, like many areas and in many places that people work, it was not perfect.
Mhm.
But the things that bothered me really bothered me.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was very quiet in who I spoke to about those issues.
Mhm.
Those people did not always include HR, although sometimes it did. And I was so frustrated that I left. And what I will say is that it is very difficult to speak up about an issue, especially when it's situated around race and ethnicity or gender, when you are the marginalized person in that area.
Mhm.
So what I want to say to you, Deidre, is I just want to encourage you. Number one, you are right. Historically, there has been an issue there where I think that we sometimes fool ourselves in the aging industries, and we look around and we say, but our organizations, they are very diverse. We have a lot of women. We have a lot of people of color. But what I hear Deidre saying, which is true, is that, yeah, you might have diversity, but you don't have inclusion, and you certainly don't have equity, because where are those people in the decision-making spaces? They aren't there. By and large, they're not there. There might be a handful, but this is a large industry. So to have a handful of anything is a slap, right? So what I want to say to you, Deirdre, is that there are people in this industry who are listening. They are open, they are honest, and they are ready to change. Do not give up. Find those people. Find those people. Use this platform to find those people, because they are here. And you know what? I'm excited about what I see in the industry. Yeah. I really am, because people are ready to have conversations. What happens, though, is they don't know where to start. And when we feel that we are ill-equipped to have a conversation, sometimes we just never have it. Yeah. So what I want to say is that there are some people out here who are doing the work, and they are ready to partner with you. Let them know who you are looking for. Yes. You know, that's the best advice I think I can give you right now. And just to not give up. Yes. People who are for you are going to come to you. They know what you're about. They know what it is that you do. And those are the people that you're going to work with. And people who find even this conversation does not suit them, you know, they cannot swallow it. That's okay. They're not my clients.
That's right.
It's a big world. It's a big world, not just a big country. Hear what I said. It's a big world, and you can serve lots of people who are ready to hear what you have to say, who are ready to allow you to care for residents the way that you know how, in a professional way. And the folks who are not for you, goodbye. There's somebody else who is. Don't lose sleep. You know, and if you lose sleep, take some melatonin. You'll go back to sleep, and you'll wake up the next morning feeling great, and you can get back to doing what you need to do. Okay. Yes. So let me tell you, I love this conversation, and I don't get to have this conversation often on my YouTube channel, because I don't typically talk about what it is that you and I do, Keila, for a living. Yes. So I'm so honored to be able to have this conversation. Again, I want to thank all of you who are making comments. It really does warm my heart, because I used to be afraid to have these conversations. So let's get into the how, because we're already half hour in. We're talking, girl.
Yes.
So let's get into the how for those people who are interested, who their ears are perking up, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, I want to build a pipeline that is diverse, that is inclusive, but I don't know how. I'm going to tell you who I know we're talking to.
Yeah.
A lot of the folks that we're going to be talking to are going to be people in HR who have never even attended a diversity and inclusion workshop before. So they do not know where to start. How do we help them? What are some things that they can do to start to build this type of pipeline? What can they do?
Wow, awesome. So whoever they have involved, you know, in their hiring team, getting them together, presenting the vision they have, you know, including the why, you know, they're doing this, their understanding of it. Because that knowledge that they would give the team initially, the why, it definitely is going to present an environment to accept the reason behind it. You would be surprised how many managers and teams, you know, are apprehensive about bringing in, you know, a diverse workforce. But making your team feel comfortable that, listen, this is going to be for the betterment of, you know, what we're doing, who we are. So, you know, creating that environment, number one. Number two, putting together, you know, that sourcing strategy, you know, knowing that the way you've been doing things, you know, the way you've been looking for candidates or having candidates apply to roles, you might have to change that up a little bit. You know, now you may have to look for those passive candidates, you know, that have the skill sets and qualifications, you know, that you're looking for. So it is going to go ahead.
I want to talk about that specifically, because I think that is going to be helpful for people. How do they now? How are they going to build out this pipeline? So we know about the why. Everybody should know now. Why is very important, okay? Because that's going to be important to retaining that talent when you there. But how exactly can they start to build that talent pipeline? And I know I have a couple ways, but you're the expert in this, so I want you to expand on that first. So what are some actual ways that they can source diverse talent?
Building relationships, number one. We connected through LinkedIn, using your social platforms to connect with people that in different roles, in different sectors, different industries, based upon what your needs are. Building those relationships, because still word of mouth and recommendations are still some of the greatest ways to let people know that you would be a great company to work for. So, and then also having a great applicant tracking system that is keeping those passive candidates, that even those that may not be interested in a role now but would be interested in the future, keeping them in a place where you can easily reach back out to them. Definitely having, I think, and when it comes to building a pipeline, you're not just looking for what the needs are now, but for the future. So building those relationships, looking in places where you haven't looked before. You take different professional organizations, going into the community, understanding that these diverse groups that you're looking for, they do support each other. So if you connect with them, they will also make knowledge within their network of the opportunities within the organization. So really it's thinking out of that sourcing box, getting really into, I think, making it more of a grassroots initiative than, just keeping it technical and I would say electronic. Sometimes you gotta.
I want to expand on even that for a second, because we ask people to step out of the box. So I want to say two things. Most of the time when I talk to clients and they are ready to build a diverse and inclusive pipeline, they think about what I like to call the big three. When they talk about diversity, they're talking about the big three. And I want to tell people what I call the big three. Okay. Yeah. I'm from the Motor City, so big three. People from the Motor City understand, okay?
Yes.
But the big three for me in this area of my life, diversity, equity, inclusion, where I do a lot of work, where you do a lot of work, I think of the big three as gender, race, and ethnicity. So whenever I'm talking to people about diversity and inclusion, and they're asking me about a diverse pipeline, they are almost always talking about gender, race, and ethnicity. But what I'm trying to get them to understand, especially when we're talking about building a diverse talent pipeline, is diversity, like Skittles, okay, comes in so many different shades of the rainbow. And it's not just about race and ethnicity, although that's very important. It's not just about gender, although that's very important. It's also about workers who are differently abled. It's also about workers from different age groups, older workers. It's also about our sisters and brothers from the LGBTQIA community. Exactly. What are we doing purposefully with intention to make sure that we are growing a pipeline that includes them too? And there are a few things you can do. You alluded to this. You said join organizations. So yes, HBCUs, you HR folks out there, you talent acquisition folks out there. Do you have relationships with HBCUs? Why not? Do you have relationships with some organizations who serve LGBTQIA folks? Why not? Do you have partnerships with programs like STEP, which is here in Michigan, and I think it might be all over the US, I'm not sure, but who purposefully try to help people who are differently abled find employment? Are you serious about building a diverse and inclusive pipeline, or are you interested in optics? Word up.
Exactly.
That's
because now, so
go ahead.
Yes. And and I have to say, so hold your team accountable. We talk about, see how they are reaching out to those organizations on a weekly basis. Are they growing those relationships? That is important. Those things need to be tracked, because you can see where you are, where you need to be. Also, once you make that connection and once you get that interview, being able to have conversations and interviews in a way that it doesn't drive these individuals away. Because I've seen
Right.
that happen time and time again. You get the interview, just one example, I was reached out to by a candidate that had recently had an interview with the hiring manager. And she said, the hiring manager just kept saying, we protect our culture fiercely. We like it the way it is. And she said, Keila, and this was, a person from one of those underrepresented, diverse groups. She was saying, it made me immediately feel like you were saying that I may not be able to fit in that group. Maybe some of the jokes you might say at the lunch table, I might not laugh at. And because of that, I would not be, within the culture or representative of the culture you are looking to keep. So, you make
Yeah.
those connections, but you also have to make sure that your commitment to that diversity, inclusion, and equity, it is carried out throughout the process,
Yes. Yes. The other thing I want to say too about culture, when you sit in an interview and people start talking about the culture of their organization, when I'm doing
Mhm.
workshops, I ask people on the spot, define what your culture is. Tell me what it
Awesome.
is. Tell me what it
Awesome.
means.
Yes.
Because we get used to saying garbage
Hmm.
and then we never examine the stink of the garbage, and then we don't take the hefty bag out, and then we just keep repeating something that really is by language exclusionary.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so when you invite someone from a marginalized group to come and
Hmm.
interview for your company, okay,
Yes.
and you're telling them that you want to build this diverse talent pipeline, that you appreciate and encourage diversity and inclusion, but then you say stuff like, we want to protect the culture, and
Yes.
you
Yes.
can't define what that culture is. You know what we're left to do? Look with our
Mm.
eyes and see what the culture is and decide that your spot is not where we want to be. Okay.
Exactly.
So what I
Hmm.
need, people who are hiring managers right now, who either are looking now or who will be looking later, what I need you to understand is that you think you're interviewing somebody, but guess what? They're interviewing you too.
Yes.
And when they leave that interview, guess what they do?
Mhm.
They talk. They talk.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
sometimes you can't build a diverse pipeline, not because the
Hmm.
talent isn't there, but because that diverse talent knows about you and they're not interested.
That's right. Because, like you said, people talk. And
Yeah.
how many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, that company, they are awesome to work for,"
Yes.
and then other people are like, "Stay away," and
Yep.
so man,
Yeah.
so it gets back to, like you were saying, retaining, not just retaining that talent, retaining those relationships, and retaining the authenticity behind that you're really committed to
Yes.
diversity and inclusion and equity in your workplace.
So I want to ask if there's anybody who has some other ways right now who want to comment or give
Mm.
maybe even some tips about how they are creating and
Mm.
cultivating this diverse talent
Yes.
pool, this
Hmm.
culture of belonging. I'd love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I just want us to really rewind really quickly and talk about the how again. So we said,
Yes.
if you
Yes.
are really looking
Hmm.
to really build a diverse and inclusive team, one of the things
Hmm.
you're going to get very serious about at the very beginning is your why, right? We said you're going to talk
Yes.
about your why. And if your
Hmm.
why is rooted in fear, that ain't a good
Yes.
why, all right?
That's right. That's right.
Need you to know, not a
Yes.
good why. Number two, we said the next thing you're going to do besides making sure that you understand your why and that your team
Hmm.
understands your why is that you're
Yes.
going to be intentional in reaching out to some of these different diverse organizations so that you can
Yes.
build relationships with them. That's the second
Yes.
thing we said that you'll do. And then
Hmm.
the third thing we said that you will do is once you build those relationships and now you have folks coming in to interview, you're going to
Hmm.
make sure that you are transparent in where your organization is and
Yes.
where you want to go. And then you're going to deliver on what you said so that you can retain
Yes.
that talent.
Exactly.
Am I missing anything? Is there another thing that we can put under the how category?
I think for me, I think it's very important, to like keep the leadership, just hold them accountable, because
Mm-hmm.
you have certain levels of the hiring process. So you have the leadership that will bring in a lot of times, that upper level management.
Yeah.
Let's see them bring in diverse managers and upper level management. That is very, very important,
Yeah.
because when you bring others that, not only are committed to the piece of diversity, but they reflect that, it can definitely make a difference to those that are coming in, because they see that reflected in where they would like to be, within the company. So, but that does tie in, Ayana, to, the fact of delivering on that
Yeah.
continued commitment. That's important.
Yeah. And I want to add something else under the how.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Many organizations have diverse talent. They don't
Yeah.
cultivate them.
Right.
So think about
Mm-hmm.
what is your process for promoting folks? Do you
Yes,
have a
yes,
process? Because if you
exactly.
don't have a process for promoting folks, I guarantee you that your internal process, your
Mm-hmm.
implicit bias process that goes unchecked all
Mm-hmm.
the time, my implicit bias that if I'm
Yes.
not careful goes unchecked all the time, will make decisions for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yes.
So I go back to Deirdre, who again is from an industry that I love and appreciate and will continue to work no matter how people get mad or not. um, what I love to tell people is that if you have somebody,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who is in an hourly position, who
Mm-hmm.
shows talent, who shows courage, who
Mm-hmm.
shows a willingness to learn,
Yes.
nurture that in them. I will tell
Yes.
you that I was very lucky in where I was, is that I moved up very quickly, but I made it known that I wanted to move up
Yes.
also. I
Mm-hmm.
made it known that I loved the industry and there were other things that I wanted to do. And so I moved up very quickly, but I also found out very quickly that that ceiling was a lot lower than I thought.
Mm. Okay.
So again, when you start cultivating these relationships, whether they're from talent outside or talent inside, you've got to
Mm-hmm.
have a process by which you say, here's how I'm going to be able to move through the ranks, and this is the outcome. If you don't have
Yes.
that, guess what people will do? When they realize that it's fraudulent, they will bounce.
Yes.
They will bounce.
That
That's
is
what
true.
they do.
Yes.
So you've got to be able to nurture those relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and think about what that means for your organization. So
Exactly.
this is such a great
Yes,
conversation.
it is. It is a
I
great and
appreciate
needed.
I appreciate
Right.
what you bring. Because again, uh, yeah, we do the same thing, but we do the same
Mm-hmm.
thing in different ways, and we can all learn from one another. And it's good for me
Yes.
to know that I have somebody in my network who's an expert at helping build out these diverse, teams. So
Yes.
that's
And
very good.
thank you, Ayana. And the thing is, I have to say, getting back to, how to do it, having, recruiters and sourcers in place that really, really have a passion for it, that really understand, how they can impact, the organization by bringing in good diverse and, talent. That really makes a difference too. I know that when I connect with my candidates, I make that a priority. I want
Yeah,
them to know that, I'm building this relationship because I want to see them get to where they want to see themselves get to. And
yeah.
if it's not within this organization, then, you know, hey, this relationship is ongoing. So, having the right people in the right place can definitely make a difference.
And I think we should not let that get lost on folks either. Having the right people in the right place. Listen, if
Mm-hmm.
if in the middle, we have a lot of people who are saying we need to address diversity within our organization. We need
Yes.
to really understand what inclusion means. We need to really explore if we are equitable or not. If that's
Mm-hmm.
happening at the middle, but people up at the top are crossing their arms and shaking their head in defiance. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
It's just not going to work.
It's not going to work.
So having the right people in place again is really important.
Yes. And okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So I was going to say, I think that that's really important. And then when you find, because sometimes we will, if we find people who are not in alignment with the vision we say we have set out, you might have to make some hard decisions of whether or not that person is still a person that should be on your team. Because anybody who is in resistance of building diverse, inclusive, and equitable places to work, and hear me, especially those organizations which care for people, and I'm talking healthcare, I'm talking education, I'm talking aging services. If we have people who are saying this is not important, get them out of the damn way, because they're a liability for you. Because Keila, as you said, we need to be future minded. And the truth of the matter is, the way that our country looks, operates, and communicates is changing.
Yes.
And you either got to learn how to roll with the punches, or you got to roll the heck on.
That's right.
Those are the options. So those of you who are in HR, I know sometimes these are the folks who reach out to me privately and say, I know that this is important. How do I talk to my CEO? How do I talk to my COO about this?
Yes.
Download this good live stream today and send it to them.
Yes.
They need to understand that you are either standing in the way or you're pushing your organization forward.
Yes.
And again, all of these initiatives, if not both nurtured and then filtered from the top, they will not get very far. They just won't.
That's right. That's right.
So do you have anything else to add before we wrap up and I get into your personal life for a second?
Wow. I guess I just want to, being so passionate about building those diversity pipelines, getting your team diverse, to the managers, make sure once again that you're holding your leadership accountable, hold yourself accountable, realize the impact that you can really make, not just in your organization, but it spreads out, becomes societal into your community, because those changes that Ayana spoke about, they are taking place. They will continue to take place. And you want to stay relevant, honest, and transparent to the talent that you will get in the future, that you're committed to it. Yes. So
that's right. That's right. And be brave. Be brave.
Yes.
Even these conversations are very hard for people to have.
They are.
I did a live last week, just a really quick live, where I talked about how there are people, especially on LinkedIn, there are people who are very interested in these conversations who will not interact with the content. And I know people personally who get very discouraged by that. People who, like you and I, create this kind of content for the platform, and then it looks like nobody's interested.
Yes.
And what I said then and what I will say now is I want to encourage those folks. Listen, sometimes people are not engaging with this kind of content, especially on LinkedIn, because they are afraid to, because you know that your activity on LinkedIn is public unless your profile is private. And so sometimes the people who we work with can see the kind of content that we're engaging with, and people are not ready to have some of these conversations with their own coworkers. That's okay. Those of you who are creating this kind of content, create it anyway, because people are looking. People are looking, and you're saying something that's important. And the way to move forward is to keep educating and not to stop. And we should all keep learning anyway. We should all be learning.
Definitely.
So I wanted to switch gears really quickly because, of course, you're in diversity and inclusion, and you're a certified practitioner, but you're also a working mom. And so we talk about what that's like too, right? Trying to do really in the workplace what's not just good for the workplace, but good for mankind, while also
Exactly.
wearing that mom cape. So
Yes.
tell me about your family life. And I want to hear really quickly too about your podcast.
Oh, awesome. So, Ayana, I'm married with 5 children. They're all very active in different things. And that is my top priority. And,
Yeah.
have been blessed to be able to navigate through, a career, making sure that, they know that, and that I'm able to put in the time that I know that, is needed with them. So, and because of that, I've always just had a passion about just encouraging other mothers, no matter what they do, to be able to balance all of that. And about, I would say, 10 years ago, I started a creative, supportive, inspirational environment for moms called Mamalution. And it started as an online magazine. I was interviewing a lot of different moms, wearing a lot of different hats. But really impacting not just their homes, but their communities. So that was awesome. And now we're still building that network, and want to just provide a platform for mothers to present what they have, what they are doing, and to impact their community and outside of their home. So it's pretty exciting, and I'm really passionate about it.
So
So
tell people where they
I do
can
have.
find. I want you to tell people where they can find the podcast at.
Okay. Oh, awesome. So I have a podcast. It's called A Mamalution Moment. And you can find it on Spotify, it's on Apple, and it's also on anchor.com. I also am on Instagram under at Mamalution _. You can find me there. You can go to the website at mamalution.com. And I would love to continue, to build this network of amazing moms such as yourself
Thank
that
you.
want to share, and want to continue doing that. And it doesn't just stop inside of our homes. We know that it
Right.
goes outside as well. So.
So tell people how to spell Mamalution, because I don't want people to try to find it and they can't find it and they really want to
Okay.
connect with you. So spell it out for them.
Okay, sure. It's MOMMALUTION.
Okay, I'm putting it in right here too. Hold on. Spell it again.
MOMMALUTION.
.com. Right? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put it up here just so that everybody can see it.
Oh, thank you.
Mamalution.com. So go there. Check out the podcast, and I know you've got some great stuff on there for moms and dads, because there's some Mr. Moms out there.
Dads too. Come on. Yes,
I think about my own brother who is a Mr. Mom,
awesome.
He's a single dad, and I think about my dad too. I lost my mom as an adult, but my dad is also a mother hen.
Oh, that's not my dad. I understand.
My dad is a mother hen, okay? He is. My dad is talking about, I've been talking to my friends, and I'm not embarrassed about it. I've been talking to them about, I think I'm going through the change, right? I'm 42 years old.
Okay.
My dad's all up in it. He's like, you gotta get your blood levels checked. Okay, thanks, Mom.
Exactly, and so that's great. So he's stepping in and filling in. I get it. I understand.
Yes. So Mamalution is also for dads who wear that mom's hat also.
Yes.
And I want you to tell me, what you cooking tonight?
Oh my goodness. So you know what? I found I like to do pasta, but I like to keep it gluten-free. And I found this great line of gluten-free pasta, Jovial. It's the best. I mean, you wouldn't even know that's gluten-free. Sometimes you cook it and it gets all nasty, and that's not cute. Yeah, so we're not having that. So I'll be making a pasta dish, doing the pesto and some cream and crushed tomatoes, add your spices in there. Yeah.
Nice. I'm making meatloaf tonight. My dad usually comes over on Sundays, and he comes and eats with me and my husband and our 2 boys, and I love to have him over. He likes meatloaf. My husband loves meatloaf. So I'm doing meatloaf tonight.
Sounds good.
I want to ask
you something else too.
I want to ask you something else too, because
Okay.
again, I know that you and I connected on LinkedIn, and everybody
Mhm.
knows that LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms. But
Okay.
I have another one which is quickly becoming my favorite. But I want to know first, before I share what mine is, what's your
Okay.
favorite social media platform now?
Wow. I like Instagram a lot because I
Okay.
like how you can get on there, and kind of give a picture of what you're doing or, during the day, or just maybe a quick inspirational quote or something. I just like it.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I have been kind of eyeing this new one too. It's called Clubhouse. I don't know. Have you
Yeah.
become a part of? Okay.
I haven't been on Clubhouse. I'm an Android user.
Okay.
I love Android. I've had Apple. I don't know that I'll go back to it.
Okay.
But I have had several people say to me, "You should really be on Clubhouse." I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know. Maybe I
I don't
will.
know. It might be for you,
That's what I'm told. I've had clients who have said, "Are you thinking about Clubhouse?" And I'm like, "Not
Okay.
really."
I know. Listen,
But
at
I'll tell
first,
you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. No, at first I was like, no, but now I'm like kind of okay. You know how it's like it's so new, so it's like taking shape. And I think it has
Yeah.
some relevance. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think no, I don't want any Apple haters to hate me. So don't do it. Or Apple lovers. I don't want any Apple lovers to hate me. But I'll tell you, like, I'm just not down like that. I'm not. I feel like it's kind of cultish, and
Okay.
it makes me defiant. It does. It makes me defiant. So, maybe if they opened it up and it didn't seem so exclusionary, and it's like, like if you're not an Apple user, then maybe I would feel differently about it. But
Oh, okay, okay.
it does feel super exclusionary. But I'll
Okay.
tell you, the app is quickly becoming my favorite, and I just didn't use it a lot before.
Which one?
Is I'm loving
Okay.
TikTok so much. I'm
Really?
living,
See,
yes,
okay.
and I'll
All
tell
right.
you what I'm loving about it. So
Okay.
there are different groups. I tell people in my workshops all the time when I'm talking about diversity and
Mhm.
inclusion, I'm an expert at being a Black woman in this body. But as we know,
Okay.
there are lots of different types of diversity. And in order for me to be
Mhm.
a good advocate, I have to learn from other people. And
Yeah.
for me, that's the
Mhm.
platform. So I
Okay.
love looking at native TikTok.
Mm,
I love looking at non-binary videos on TikTok.
okay.
I
Okay.
love anything that's made from the 50 plus community. And
Okay.
so I am just really enjoying TikTok because I get to learn directly from folks from these other marginalized groups. And
Okay.
I just find it super entertaining. So
Yeah.
I'm loving
Okay.
it.
Now see, because I don't know, I've only seen the little
The challenges.
the end that yeah. So, but that would make I might have to check TikTok out a little closer.
Yeah, native TikTok is fire, 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 fire. So
Okay.
I'm learning a lot about indigenous cultures
Okay.
and how we can be a better support
Mm-hmm.
to them. And I mean, hands down for me, like that's the spot for me to go. And
Okay.
I'm learning a lot about. I think sometimes um, the perception is that as a Black woman, you must know all there is to know about Black culture. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
true. I'm learning
You
every day.
can't.
Okay.
It's so bad.
So I hate when people
Yes.
just assume, like, it's like, nah, dude, I'm learning too. Okay.
Exactly.
Remember where I
Yes.
went to school in America? Didn't really learn a lot about Black history. Learning it now.
Exactly.
So I love TikTok for that reason because there are just so many great educators on there,
Awesome.
and they make
Okay.
learning fun. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah. So LinkedIn,
That's
TikTok
okay.
at the very top of my list. Um,
Okay.
Instagram, I love so much because
Mhm.
I also am like a plant mom and I like to look at birds, specifically
Okay.
owls. And so that's where I'm at for that. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So this has been just such an amazing
Yeah.
conversation. I'm so glad that you accepted my invitation. Listen,
Listen.
tell
Thank
everybody
you.
one more time. You're welcome. I
Okay.
want you to tell everybody one more time too where they can get in touch with you. I'm going to put Momulation up again,
Okay.
but I want you to also tell them what platforms you're on.
Okay. So I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook
Mhm.
at Mama Lucian as well. And I'm also Keila Minnis-Stevens on Clubhouse. On Twitter, I'm at Mama Lucian as well.
Great.
So those places. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I appreciate you so much for being
I
here.
appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and for all of you who watched today, listen, I appreciate you guys. Please make sure that you are following Maximum Communications, both on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Of course, you can follow me on my personal pages, Ayana King or Ayana D. King, depending on where you find me. But do come and find me. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciated you being on. It's so fun.
So
I know we'll do it again. Hey,
yes.
next week, everybody. Good content. I'm gonna be talking about pronouns. I resisted using pronouns for a very long time. And so I'm going to explain why that is and why I've changed my mind since. So everybody join me again next Sunday. I'll be here at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Keila, you and I will get together again. I know we will.
Yes.
And everybody, hey, have a good afternoon.
Have a good one, guys.